You ain't heard of shit like that. Working all night, you know shit like that. Cutting people off, you know shit like that. Not enough money,
Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Simpli here today, and I'm coming at you guys with a new video about some tips I can give you guys to become better Call of Duty players. I have some friends on Steam that aren't really the best Call of Duty players, and I feel like I can give them some tips on how they can improve so they don't have to bottom frag every time I play with them, and my win loss can go up. So let's just get right into the video. I'm gonna try and be as non-biased as possible towards like shit that pisses me off, like shotguns and DLC weapons, you know, stuff like that. You've heard me complain about them in the my past couple videos. And yeah, let's get right into the video. Alright, so my first tip is something called centering. What centering is you keep your crosshairs pretty much beyond where you're looking. So if I'm running around the corner, I'm not going to look at that barrier. Let me find a better split. So say if I'm walking past this wall right here, okay? I'm not going to be looking at the wall like this as I walk past, because if somebody runs by, I'm going to hardly see him and I'm not have much time to react. And two, I mean, I'm looking at a wall, so I'm going to have less time and I'm pretty much going to have to snap onto them. So what centering does is it pretty much eliminates all of the extra effort from moving your analog stick. So yeah, if you do that, you pretty much have an upper hand if they're not doing it. I don't know, that's more of like common knowledge with Call of Duty, but if you don't do it, I mean, you're kind of screwed. So are you not dead? How are you not dead? Okay. Alright, so the third tip I can give you guys are on attachments, okay? So here I have a thermal M8, okay? Let me go find somebody. What the thermal does is it highlights enemies, but it takes away aim assist. So it's going to be a lot tougher to lock onto targets and kill them within a burst or two, just because there is no aim assist. So if you don't have aim assist, it's going to be a lot harder to hit them. Oh, say with an attachment like ELO. Tell me, please. Are regular bots really this bad? Shoot me! What the fuck? Please shoot me. Thank you. Okay, so with an attachment like ELO. So with an attachment like ELO, or any other attachment besides thermal, you get aim assist on enemy players. So it's a lot easier to lock onto the targets and shoot them within a burst or so. Another attachment you guys shouldn't use unless you're specifically trying to go for wall bangs, which I don't know why you would. I don't think there's an achievement for that, is FMJ. FMJ, it's kind of misleading because it says it adds damage, but in reality it doesn't add any damage, it just adds more penetrating damage. So therefore I believe it can damage score streaks a little bit easier, a little bit more, and penetrate walls a little bit more. It won't kill enemies any faster. Although I said I was going to be unbiased, I'm going to tell you guys don't use high caliber. Just for the simple fact that it's unfair. Because, one, there's flinch, and I'm not sure there's flinch in Black Ops 3 exactly. Well, I think there's a little bit, but I'm not sure there's not a lot. So, what high cal does is it gives you extra headshot damage. So say with the M8, you can get a 3-hit or a 3-bullet kill with like 2 bullets hitting the head. With the Man of War, you can get a 2-hit kill or 2-bullet kill. And with the XR2 and high cal, it's pretty insane. I mean, every time somebody uses high cal and XR2, it just like ruins the lobby. Alright, so my next tip is to strafe. So strafing is when you are moving side to side in a gun battle or in a gunfight. So I have stock on this VMP, on this particular VMP, and in every gunfight I strafe left to right. Not super fast, don't wiggle your stick super duper fast, that's what I used to do, and I didn't help me at all because obviously I wasn't doing anything. I was just slightly moving inside left to right. But what you should do is hold it for like 2 or 3 seconds, and then with what you're doing with your right analog stick, reflect that a little bit with your left analog stick to keep yourself on aim. That's sloppy, but you know what I mean. Keep yourself on target with your left analog stick. My fourth bit of advice for you guys is to use head glitches not as much as possible because it's not going to be considered camping, but when you feel you know where they are and you have an AR or you feel like your shot with an SMG is good enough, use head glitches and, you know, pick them off one by one. So see here, if that were online, obviously you know he would know I was there. Benefit of head glitches is they can only see your head, so it's really hard for them to hit you. Also, you can hold down spawns pretty well on this head glitch, and not hold down spawns necessarily, but hold down like they can't push forward. Okay, so my next bit of advice is to not sprint around corners. I see a lot of people doing this, and it does get a lot of people killed. What you should do to replace that bad habit is when you walk around corners, sort of centered, you know what I mean? Like, just do this. Either pre-aim around the corner, or walk around the corner and center. Like pre-aim a doorway or something. Do not sprint around corners like this, unless you know they're not going to be there or you're going to respawn. Say if you're pushing up, so say if they're spawning over there. I'm sprinting like this. See? I could have died right there. If I was just sprinting around the corner and didn't have reflexes, I guess. Also, sprinting through doorways is bad sometimes, because, I mean, if you don't know they're there, and you sprint into a doorway, there's not really anywhere for you to go, and they obviously have the upper hand if they're not sprinting or if they're aiming down their sights. So yeah, just never sprint around corners unless you know they're not there. Okay, so my next bit of advice is when you have an AR class, always, and I mean always, have a backup weapon like a pistol. So in this case, I have the RK5. So say if I'm... Okay, let me go down to... See if I'm at A bullets, okay? And I miss those two. I can always pull that out. Okay. An AR is not favorable inside of a house like this, okay? If I had an AR there, I probably would have lost. Since pistols in Call of Duty are, like, ridiculously overpowered, you should always, not always, but most of the time, run in with a pistol inside of a building. That's at least what I do, and it works out most of the time. Okay, so next I have perks. So for this class, this VMB class, I'm using Ghost, Fast Hands, Blast Suppressor, and Tac Mask. Now, Ghost hides me from the radar if I'm moving from a UAV. Haters can still see me just because it's a hater and it's a high kill streak. Fast Hands is if you're sprinting, you have a faster ADS time. So Fast Hands is very beneficial if you're like an SMG player. Blast Suppressor, if you're playing some people with good headsets and map awareness, Blast Suppressor is a very good thing to use because one, it's very hard to hear, and two, it keeps you off the minimap when you use your jetpack, you like have like a blip on the map for like a half a second, and people who are staring at their minimap know where you are once you do that. Tac Mask minimalizes the effects of concussions, stuns, tacticals, hence the name Tactical Mask. Also, Flak Jacket. Flak Jacket and Tac Mask, in my opinion, are the two most important perks you can have. Because, well, in Black Ops 3, most people, well, not most people, but a lot of people do run shock charges and trip mines. And running around, say if you get shock charged and you have Flak Jacket on, you get shock charged, but you're not going to die from the trip mine. But say if you're running and you can slide, if you hear or if you get shock charge, you can slide away from the trip mine because you don't get the effects of the shock charge. So I would say those two perks are the most important perks. There are other perks like Cold-Blooded, Blind Eye, all those. I don't really use those because I don't usually play people who are spamming counter UAVs and like, you know, wraiths and stuff, because usually, I mean, usually people don't drop wraiths on me. But if you're a lower skilled player, you could use Cold-Blooded instead of Fast Hands, because you may play slower, and if you're getting wraiths dropped on your head constantly, or wraps dropped on your head, Cold-Blooded would be very, very, very beneficial for you. And you won't die as often, you won't get as triggered. Alright, so next is score streaks, okay? So if you're not very confident or good at Call of Duty at the moment, what you should use is UAV, counter UAV, and lightning strike. And that, in my personal opinion, just because UAV, you get an occasional radar blip or sweep. Counter UAV, so when you shoot, the enemy team can't shoot you or see you. And lightning strike, just because that is a free easy couple kills, because I mean it is 3 huge explosions, and I don't think flak jacket really helps with it. Helps you survive it. If you do think you're a decent Call of Duty player and you feel like you can get high streaks every other 4 or 5 games, the streaks that I would recommend you use are high streaks like AI streaks. So in Black Ops 3's case, I have Cerberus, Wraith, and Raps on. I'm not using them because I'm playing bots and I don't want to have all my kills stolen. I'm sure you all know what they do, because I mean the game's been out for 2 years. If you've never played this game, you're kind of late. But I would just use higher specialists if you're, or specialist score streaks if you think you're a higher level player. If you don't, use more like a UAV type streak and more like a lightning strike type streak. Okay, so when you're playing in pubs, if you are playing against a better team, a better player, don't get discouraged. They're just better than you, okay? The blunt truth, they're just better than you. Unless they're playing like assholes, then I mean, then there is some justification. But if you're playing better players, genuinely better players, then don't complain, don't get discouraged, don't quit the game, play against them, because in the end it does benefit you. It benefits your aim, because obviously they'll have better movement. It'll benefit your, obviously, your competitiveness. It can also benefit your situational, like, I don't know, reasoning, I guess. Like when to push, when not to push, what they're doing, what they're not doing, what they're pushing, what they're not pushing, where to push, what not to push, you know. Where are they gonna spawn, what guns are they using, you know, when do they have their specialists, what streaks do they have, are they going on this type of streak, are they going on a low streak, are they dying a lot, you know. If you've watched me for a while, you would know that I do lose my composure a lot. I tend to complain, rage, say fuck this, fuck that, you know. I just tend to scream a lot, quit, I get discouraged. I am a hypocrite, but I am trying to help you guys, and I know what you should do. I just can't really control my feelings, as I do have sometimes a temper tantrum. So, oh my god. Bruh, okay. So, don't lose your composure, because once you lose your composure, and once you start saying, fuck this, fuck that, that's not fair, that's not this, that's not what, you start making excuses for yourself, and you start playing worse. You don't start playing, you don't continue to play as well as you were doing before. You start playing worse, start missing shots. You know, you stop thinking, because you're thinking about how bullshit that death was. You think how bullshit how they killed you. You start, you know, how'd they get that streak, how'd they do this, how'd they get that. You know, don't think about that stuff and just think about you, what they're doing, what are their weaknesses, you know? Think about stuff like that. Your mindset needs to be good. You need to go into a game thinking, I'm gonna destroy these kids, I'm gonna get a nuclear, I'm gonna go on a brutal streak, I'm gonna get my streaks, I'm gonna get my streaks 3 times, 4 times, twice, once. I'm gonna use my specialists the best to my ability, you know. You just do that stuff. Don't have a bad attitude when you play, because that'll just make you play worse. Okay, so we're in the near of the video. If you're still here, please sub and like the video if you are enjoying it so far. I have a few more topics I'd like to go over, but I just wanted to say before you all leave, because I'm gonna say some more common knowledge kind of stuff. So if you're gonna leave now, just leave. I mean, I'm gonna talk about like bots and stuff. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and like and comment what videos you would like to see from me. And yeah, let's get on to the last bit of the video. Okay, so one of my last bits of advice for you guys is to, every time you get on Call of Duty for the first time of the day, always go into bots and practice. Warm up every single day before you get online and start getting shit on because your shot's not warmed up. Play against veteran bots, and the reason why I say that is, one, you're just not shooting mindless bots. I mean, I'm playing on hardened right now, just trying to make a video, but play on veteran bots, just because they are pretty much like aimbots. So you'll you'll think about what you're doing before you do it, because you'll die over and over and over again if you don't. And you know, it'll help your gun skill as well, because they do react very fast. So it'll help you tap onto them faster, it'll help you have a better reaction time if you're not in a favorable position. And yeah, it's just practice against bots, veteran bots. Go on to like Nuketown, or the smallest map. Play against like 8 of them, 7 or 8 of them. And just play for 10 minutes. The time limit's 10 minutes, or unlimited, and just play. Okay, so my last bit of advice is, when you're in the pre-game lobby, look at everybody's KD, and whoever is at the top 5 people, well, not top 5 people, I would say top 3 people, look at their most deadly weapon in the combat record, okay? And I say that because, say if they have the VMP, they obviously rush. Say if they use shotguns, they obviously sometimes camp corners, sometimes, you know, they don't care, you know? If they have a 2 KD, you know they're smarter players, so that means it's gonna make you smarter, or you play smarter and better. It's gonna give you encouragement to play better. This kind of ties into the better play with the better players thing, because I mean, if you're playing against better players, usually, I mean, I quit if I see like a 3 KD player, because I know on PCs sometimes they are cheaters. So I mean, there is like a wall hack aimbot thing going around right now. But on console, if you see somebody with a 2.6 KD, 2.5 KD, look at their most deadly weapon, and try and predict what they're going to do off the break, you know, off the start. What you think they're going to do every time they die. How they play, do they camp, do they sit in corners, do they wait. Also look at their SPM. If their SPM is like 250, they camp. Or they play really, really slow and head glitch. If their SPM's at like 600 or 500 or even 450, they definitely rush. They rush, or they play smart or play faster than the normal Call of Duty. Call of Duty player. I would say the normal Call of Duty player SPM is around 350, 300 to 350. Damn. Okay. What the fuck? Damn. Ooh. Why can't I shoot like this online? God damn. Alright, so that's gonna conclude the video, guys. If you guys really enjoyed, please hit the sub button, hit the like button, comment what you guys would like to see from me in a future date, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.